Could you possibly rewind and come again?
What's going on, people? Level Up Media. So, in this episode of Unsung Artists, I'll be speaking about an R&B duo by the name of Whitehead Brothers. Now, the Whitehead Brothers were better known in the 90s era. However, they actually made their debut in the 80s. The Whitehead Brothers are two singers who are biological brothers from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Their father, known as John Whitehead, was also a singer and wrote the popular 80s hit Ain't No Stopping Us Now. The Whitehead Brothers released their first album in 1986 entitled Kenny and Johnny the Whitehead Brothers. I can't verify their exact age when they released this album, but by the images on the album, they appear to be around 12 or 13 years of age. And with their whole presentation, they kind of remind me of the American sitcom actors Kenan and Kel. So on that album, you can still hear that they're very young and still learning, but they did have a few breakthrough tracks that showcase their potential. So there's 3 tracks that really stand out for me. One of them is called I Will Always Love. The next one is Styling and Profiling. And the third one is Don't You Know You Let Me Down. I think them songs showcase their vocal maturity, even singing at that young age. However, despite having a few quality tracks on that album didn't really make waves. And do remember, around that time there was a lot of vocal powerhouses and legendary artists, so it wouldn't have been easy to have a breakthrough around that time. But there's one thing I know for sure, that these guys can really, really sing. So after their first album, as far as I know, they just disappeared for almost a decade, and 8 years later, they returned with their second album entitled Serious. Now, obviously, they matured as individuals, but they seem to have matured musically as artists as well, and this time they seem to have a bit more of an edgy and a gritty aura about them. They took the scene by storm with hit tracks from the album like Your Love Is a 187. They absolutely bodied that track. It was kind of reminiscent of something you would hear from Jodeci, but Whitehead Brothers still had a unique edge to them. And they had other tracks like Forget I Was a G. I particularly liked that one because it had a positive message. I loved the beat. It was sort of like a New Jack Swing vibe, and their vocal delivery on that one was exceptional. I think this album is generally well written. They have other songs in the album like Change and their track entitled Beautiful Black Princess, which is like a soul ballad, very well written, great vocal delivery, and has a creative arrangement and expression about it. The track is definitely underrated, and they even done a reprise to Beautiful Black Princess, which is like an instrumental track which sounds like theme music for a movie. So these guys were definitely creative and unique in their approach. Now they had other tracks like Sex on the Beach and Love Goes On, which were also solidified jams. However, despite the success they had with this second album, they pretty much disappeared off the scene. I'm not sure what the circumstances were, but their career was definitely cut short. I still feel like these guys had a lot of untapped potential and could have been much greater than they were, and hence the reason they were unsung artists. But big shout out to the Whitehead Brothers for making a significant impact on the scene. So that's all from me, guys. Until the next time, I'll see you on the other side. Peace.